How are you? I know, I'm making sure to make sure that right corner is covered. How about this left corner over here? Good morning over here. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a very good morning to have all of you back here after 3 years away to the Caring Force Rally 2023. Well, I'm Michael Weeds, and I'm President and CEO of the Writers Council, and I'm pleased to once again have the honor to be a co-host with Lydia Todd, Chair of the Caring Force Committee. She's also chairing the greatest human services rally, all of it, the Caring Force. Now, you may ask, why is it the greatest rally? It's because you're the greatest. Is that right? The council is fortunate to have a board that supports efforts to bring fairness and social justice to the sector. We have board members here. We're the board members of the Writers Council. Please stand or raise your hand. Of the sector, CEOs, directors, folks who help get everywhere to here to also raise their hands. Would they raise hands? All the executive directors, CEOs, folks who like Thank you. I know we are joined by not only the great people here, but we've got some great people that work in this building here with us today. Representatives Jim O'Day, Michael Day, Donald Long. Where are you? Let's give them a hand for being also representing Tom Black. A hand for being here, and I'll introduce you later, Representative Lewis. So I see you there. So on behalf of the council and the board, I want to thank you for being here at this rally. And not only are we saluting you, our guests, residents, staff, people, participants in programs, and families that are here, because your support is really needed and necessary. And it's important that you make sure that the folks here in this building know how important the work that you do and why it's important to the economy. But first, I want to ask this question since it's been over 3 years. If this is your first TCF rally, would you wave your hand or say loudly, "Oh yeah"? Oh yeah! If this is not your first TCF rally, would you wave your hand or say loudly, "Oh yeah"? Oh yeah! All right, I just want to make sure we got all the right people in the right place, and I think we do. You're in the right place. And if you care about people fulfilling their potential, you're in the right place. If you care about staff members receiving a livable wage and getting support from loan repayment assistance, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. And later today, you'll have an opportunity to communicate with your legislators, as elected officials, representatives who serve, and on their staff members, and talk to them about why it's important to support this sector the way that you want and think it's important. Now, I see some faces here that I know as I was standing on the line. You get to meet people who stand on the line for a long time. Sorry about that, folks. But I appreciate your ability to stand through it and make sure that you came through. But there were faces there from far and faces from folks that are here too. So I want to ask if you could just tell me, do we have any people here from the Southeast? Yeah. Okay, Southeast. We like Southeast. All right, what about folks from the Northeast? Do we have people here from the Northeast? All right, and how about Central Massachusetts? Do we have people here from Central Massachusetts? Oh, yeah. Okay, how about Western Massachusetts? Yeah. program here today, but I do have a few things I must ask of you, if you don't mind. A few housekeeping things. One, of course, the cell phones. You can turn the ringers off on the cell phones. That would be great. Put it on vibration. But I don't want you to necessarily turn it off. You don't need to turn it off because I need you, if you will, if you have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to use the hashtag #CaringForceRally. You have it here? And make sure you're posting here, and you can also retweet at the Caring Force. Okay? You've got a lot of contacts, followers, because you're part of the greatest people, so you've got great followers as well. Let them know why you're here. You're in the State House, a big building with a big gold dome, and you're here to make a difference in the lives of people throughout. Now, for those of you who may need a seat, we have a few seats that are up front that are reserved. If you really need to sit, you can do that. If you need to find a comfortable or need directions, people like me to wear these red shirts. That's why I'm wearing the reds. And calls and say, hey, how do I get here? How do I get there? And hopefully we can help you. You'll see the staff with red shirts around there. And lastly, after the program concludes, please be sure to visit your local elected officials and get their support so that they will help advance the living wage bill and the loan rebate bill. Details, you don't have them, you'll find them on the table in front. Now, without further ado, it's my honor to present you one of the ardent supporters of Caring Force and Human Services and our co-host, Lydia Todd. Lydia.
Service workers, legislators, and staffers who are here to recognize the critical contributions made by this sector. 3 years ago, we were planning for our annual rally when our collective world shut down. Well, not for human service workers. The needs of the individuals we serve did not disappear, and neither did we. Our essential workforce continued to show up and worked more overtime than ever, dedicating ourselves to supporting the safety of the individuals we serve. We did everything we had done all along, but for longer hours and in full PPE gear. It reminded me of the saying, and I'm dating myself here, that Ginger Rogers danced as well as Fred Astaire, but backwards and in high heels. We converted to a reverse rally during which legislators thanked our workers virtually. The following year, it was still not safe to gather, so we held a virtual rally with more than 1,000 Zoom logins across the Commonwealth. And last year, we held a Spirit Week to remind ourselves that even when the work is daunting, we love what we do and who we do it for. Over the past 3 years, we showed the best of what it means to be a human service worker, proud of our work, honored to serve, and exhibiting true compassion and concern for our fellow human beings. We recognize that the difference between us and those we serve is a moment in time, a small shift in trajectory, a circumstance, a birth or opportunity, a bad day. We know that sometimes we are able to serve, and sometimes we need services. We are delighted finally to be here again in person to celebrate our strength, resiliency, and life-affirming work. This event is crucial because it is harder for this sector to receive attention. For reasons of privacy and safety, when we serve, we try to blend in, to be quiet, to not disrupt. Group homes and neighborhoods want to fly under the radar. When we are shopping with an individual we serve, we look like we are with an uncle, a child, a friend. When we go into a family home to assist, we look like friendly neighbors. We do not wear uniforms or signs, but we are everywhere, making sure that those who need a little extra support have it with full dignity. Consequently, many Massachusetts residents do not even know we exist, or how many of us there are, or how many we serve. While this is as it should be, it makes it difficult to advocate for what we, the workers, and our families need. We are such loyal public servants, we sometimes neglect our own needs, and yet we deserve everything we work so hard to get for those we serve. This includes safe housing in which to rest and recharge our bodies and souls, healthy food on our tables, and health care we can afford When the hourly wage is insufficient to make ends meet, we can choose a lifetime of working 2 jobs, and many of us do just that. Others must leave for jobs that pay more, even though they love their work. Many take positions in state government with better compensation, the promise of a financially secure retirement, reduced need to work overtime or be on call, and weekends off to be with family and friends. Add to these financial and time burdens that the work is hard, that in congregate care you cannot leave until relieved, and that the burnout risk is quite high, and you can easily see why staffing is challenging. All these things were true pre-pandemic, but things are dire now. Despite significant gains in hourly rates since 2019, and with gratitude to our Secretariat and to the Legislature for prioritizing resources, the wages in the private, retail, and service sector continue to outpace ours. The private sector also allows for flexibility in hours, which appeals to gig workers or young people who do not need health care yet. In addition, there are many vacant professional jobs which are completely remote. We need to attract people to the field, and we need to keep them. This should matter to every resident in the Commonwealth. We are here today to make sure this is known and to answer our legislators' questions so they can continue to make decisions that will give the most vulnerable individuals and families the best chance to be as self-sufficient as possible and enjoy the full promise of living in this Commonwealth. Thank you. I'm honored to introduce you to our first speaker, Elena Schreckenberger, an Operations Manager at Action for Boston Community Development, who will be speaking on the need for livable wages and a student loan repayment program for our sector. Elena?
Good morning. My name is Elena Schreckenberger. I'm an Operations Manager at Action for Boston Community Development at the Alston Bright Neighborhood Opportunity Center. As a child, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and given less than 50% chance of survival. My family was relatively new to the area we were living in, and upon hearing of my diagnosis, many families and community members came together to help my parents get through each day while I went through treatment. After going into remission and seeing my own parents give back to the same community that helped them, I became inspired to do the same. I relocated to the Boston area from Atlanta, Georgia in the summer of 2017 after completing my master's in both social work and public health. I wanted to find an organization to work with that would help teach me how to engage with community members and meet their needs. I joined ABCD to make a difference in my community and support some of the most vulnerable people in the Commonwealth. At ABCD, human service workers helped 100,000 low-income people in Boston and East Valley. People of all ages participate in ABCD's programs, such as housing and homeless prevention services, rural assistance, adult basic education and job training, and early education and care. While this job can be very rewarding when we're able to assist our clients, it is hard when I and my staff are not able to have our own needs met. The cost of living continues to increase, and we may often be eligible for our own programs because of how low our pay is in this sector. In addition, many human services workers have student loans to pay off, which adds on an additional expense, leaving us to have little left for saving. Personally, I have more than $46,000 in student loan debt. An act relative to a loan repayment program for human services workers would help to significantly ease the burden of my student loans. I hope that you will strongly consider supporting the carrying forth and the student loan repayment bills. This support will allow us to continue to serve our clients and be able to afford living in. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, for sharing your story. Next up, we have Tanya Morris, a trainer and survivor leadership mentor at My Life, My Choice. Tanya has joined us today to speak about the need for a livable wage for human service workers. Please join me, as you already have, in welcoming Tanya to the podium.
Good morning. Oh my God, it feels so good to be up here looking at everybody. And I was so nervous. You imagine this? Thank you. I'm honored to be here to do this. My name is Tanya Morris, and I am the Training and Survivor Leadership Manager at My Life, My Choice. I am happy to be here with you all today to talk to you about my experience as a human services worker and advocate for a livable wage and a student loan repayment program. My lived experience brought me to My Life, My Choice, where I have worked for over 8 years. Every day I work with youth who depend on me and my agency for support, guidance, mentorship, understanding, love, and acceptance. I use my experience and training to support the most valuable in Massachusetts. There is no other kind of work I would rather do. However, the emotional labor of my job is far more sustainable than other sectors of work. I am helping youth who have experienced sex trafficking, sexual abuse, mental and emotional trauma, and exploitation. And yet, I am not paid a livable wage. My passion for supporting youth who have been trafficked and abused is fulfilled at My Life, My Choice. I had a difficult conversation I had with one of my mentees about her past experience. She asked me, why do bad people do bad things to us? I told her that hurt people hurt people. But we can overcome this by healing together. Then she asked me, she said, can you do me a favor? I know you did a lot for me already, but can you do me a favor? And I said, sure, honey, but what is it? She said, can you teach me how to love? See how you reacted? That's what I did as well. And then I had to hold it together, and I said to her, you know how to love, sweetheart. You just wasn't given the love like you deserve. And then she turned around and said to me, she said, no, Tanya, can you teach me how to love like you love me? Right there, in that moment, I knew I was at the right place. Right there, in that moment, I knew I was doing the right job. Right there, in that moment, I knew I would fight for the rest of my life. At that moment, I knew that. I was able to go back to school to obtain my Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Human Services. I want to be able to attain my Master's to better help clients, but I can't afford to do so. I have just applied on weekends in addition to my current full-time job hours because I'm struggling to make ends meet. I have a 16-year-old who needs her mother and will be going to college soon, along with my 23-year-old currently in college. Down home. I practice self-care, which is highly important. I can't stress enough of how important self-care is. I practice self-care to show up for myself and my family and to be the best self I can be at my job. Taking a second job, I am concerned about how much time it will take away from my self-care and my children. I am here today to implore the legislators to support the student loan repayment and livable wage bills. The loan repayment bill will give me and other human service workers the chance to pursue higher education and help with the financial strain. The livable wage bill would allow me to be able to make ends meet and spend more time with my family. I am a role model to my clients at My Life, My Choice. They are so much more than their experience and their trauma. Can I express so much more? These kids are amazing kids. They can obtain higher education, pursue their passion, and live life that fulfills them. There is so much more work I want to do, but without the funding, I am unable to do so. This field deserves so much more than it is given. And the people in this field deserve recognition. For the work that we do. Thank you, I'm telling you.
Thank you, Tanya, for sharing your powerful story with us today. Next, we will hear from Olivia Moultrie and Alicia Giles from ServiceNet. These direct care workers are here to speak to you today about the importance of a livable wage pay and student loan repayment program in the human service sector. Please welcome Olivia and Alicia to the podium.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Olivia Ann Moultrie, and I was born in Springfield, Mass. I am a direct care staff member. To give you a better idea of my upbringing, my father was a cop, my mom works at a methadone clinic, and my brother is a teacher. So I am no stranger to seeing people serve others that need help. It's probably the reason why I work where I work today. I am a 28-year-old single woman who still lives at home because I cannot afford to move out. I could, of course, if I worked 60 to 80 hours a week. Sorry. But the question is, do I burn myself out just to say I have an apartment? Please pay attention to these questions I ask, and at the end, think about your answers, if you can even answer them. I've been with ServiceNet for 7 years. I like my job because I provide a service to people that are in need. And it takes a special type of person to do this job. And this job is not for the weak. At a job that requires you to be a caregiver, a friend, a counselor, a CNA, a chef, a driver, an advocate, and plenty more, you would think I make a livable wage, but the sad part is I make less than. With my pay, I can't afford the services that I provide. If my check engine light comes on, I pray it goes away. If I want to go to therapy, I can't, because who has $40+ every time you go for a copay? And thank God I'm healthy, for the most part, because if I have a pain, or if something doesn't feel right, who has the money for tests, x-rays, and to go to a specialist? According to MIT Living Wage Calculator, a single woman like me should be making $21.35 an hour. I can tell you right now, if I wasn't with my company for 7+ years of being a specialty worker, I would be in a worse position. Now, I did the math, and if I was paid that extra $2.35 an hour, I would have an extra $4,512 a year. That would mean having a savings account, going to the chiropractor for my back. I could travel. I could have peace of mind. Donors direct care staff deserve this. To keep people, I keep people alive for a living. Don't we deserve to live ours too?
you all about the ongoing issue for a livable wage for the human service sector. I've been a residential counselor for 7 years, so my duties are vast. Most human service workers' pay is so little that we often have 2 or more jobs. When we get sick, we have to consider our options thoroughly. Whether to come to work sick just so that we don't miss a day of pay, or do we take the hit and nurse ourselves back together? We don't have the option to work from home and still get paid. We don't have the option to miss a day of work, well, because the kids have practice on Tuesdays. The real question is, what can the legislator and other elected officials do to ensure human service workers earn a livable wage? Direct care staff, on average, should be earning 18 to 24 an hour. Workers at McDonald's, Starbucks, even Panera Bread can receive 18 to 19.50 an hour. I'm not saying these jobs shouldn't get paid that amount, but why are we the people that are providing 24-hour care to to the loved ones are getting paid less than the people while scanning food or someone scanning our clothes at TJ Maxx or but more people are leaving because they can't make ends meet with the rate of pay. They are leaving for jobs with higher pay and fewer responsibilities. All we're asking for is to be paid a livable wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia and Alicia, for sharing your experience and advocacy with us. Next, we will hear from Karen Pierre Lewis, a parent of a child receiving services from Justice Resource Institute. Karen is also an intern at JRI and graduating soon with her master's degree in social work.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank you for allowing me to speak here today. I will share my experience as a parent and as an intern. My name is Karen Pierre Lewis. I am the proud daughter of Salvadoran immigrants. I was born and raised in Chelsea. I am the mom of a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old, Eliza and Jeremiah, and Eliza joined me today. In 2019, my family and I lost our cousin and our home in a fire that resulted in us being homeless. In 2020, I lost my father-in-law. In 2021, I lost my baby niece, and I almost lost my sister. In 2022, I lost my little brother Henry at the young age of 23, followed by my grandfather, These losses left no time for recovery, and grief has become a lifelong journey. I eagerly looked for support from my daughter Eliza, because I knew that I could not support her emotionally in the way that she needed. She was so close to my brother. She was waitlisted in one program after another because the waitlist for mental health support was so high after the pandemic. My daughter waited a year to be placed with a therapist. In the meantime, it was extremely difficult for me as I was trying to take care of myself, my mom, and my dad. My mom, who had to bury her only son, is still on a wait list to get a therapist 1 year after his passing. There is a high need for clinicians and people are leaving agencies because they are underpaid. That is why I'm asking you to support the livable wage bill. This legislation will help raise wages in the human services sector, which will help with recruitment and retention. My educational journey has not been easy. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade and have worked extremely hard after overcoming many barriers. This month, I will graduate from Simmons University with a master's degree. As an outpatient clinician at JRI. There, I have seen the high need for human service workers, especially for marginalized communities. I have heard so many stories of trauma, loss, and deep poverty. Children and families in need of services are facing long wait times. Families that are Spanish-speaking have even longer wait times due to the deficit of Spanish-speaking clinicians. My degree will come with a hefty price tag of $120,000. Higher education is not attainable for people like me. For this reason, tuition reimbursement is essential. Retention is extremely hard in these times, and we need to make higher education more accessible. Children who already have such high needs build a relationship with their therapists, but unfortunately, many are forced to leave the field, not because they don't love their job, but because they are underpaid. This is hard work, and it is work that comes from the heart. The pandemic has highlighted the need for mental health care workers. As a mom, I hope my story can highlight some of what I have experienced. I'm just one story of thousands. Lastly, I will share this Spanish quote with you that inspires me every day. Mientras hay vida, hay esperanza, which means while there is life, there is hope. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks to all of our Caring Force members in attendance today for your support of Elena, Tanya, Olivia, Alicia, and Karen. Let's give them all a hand. I understand we have a very special guest here today who would like to say a few words. She is a fierce champion of our industry and probably needs no introduction. Here is our friend and ally, Senate President Karen Spilka.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Come on, louder. Good morning. It's great to see a sea of yellow. Yes. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for all that you did during COVID. You are and were essential workers, essential to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you. The healthcare sector and all of its professionals like you were absolutely critical to our state's well-being during the pandemic. And you continue to be the cornerstone and the backbone in our road to an equitable post-pandemic recovery. Thank you. This past legislative session, I fought hard, along with my colleagues, to invest over $1 billion to support the health and human service sector. This is an unprecedented level of support because you deserve it. Nearly half of that investment is going directly to human service professionals themselves, you, in the form of increased reimbursement rates for human services and healthcare professionals, giving you higher rates, which of course are well-deserved. Yes. We also made additional investments to support a robust workforce, including through a loan repayment program for human service workers. Many of you are taking advantage of this loan repayment program. The Senate's proposed budget that we are in the process of going through and will be debating next week and passing expands on this with nearly $600 million for nursing facility Medicaid rates, including $112 million in additional base rate payments to maintain competitive wages in the Commonwealth's nursing facility workforce. We also have $200 million for increased rates to day habilitation and adult day health providers so that more individuals with complex needs can return to the pre-pandemic levels of care. These targeted supports for professionals in the human service sector are they're just part of a larger constellation of measures that we are taking to make it easier for you and all of the healthcare professionals to live, study, raise a family, and work here in Massachusetts. Some of the things, and I hope you are aware of this now, that the Senate has in its budget, and I hope you will support. Free community college for nursing students in the fall of 2023. For everyone in the fall of 2024. And the Senate includes a critical piece of finally providing in-state tuition for all residents who grew up and went to school in Massachusetts, regardless of their background or their immigration status. Our budget would allow practicing nurses with bachelor's degrees to teach at higher education institutions so they can share their expertise with the next generation of nurses, and we invest in our nursing workforce pipeline. I'd also like to add that our budget includes a historic investment of $1.5 billion to the early education sector to make childcare, early education and childcare across Massachusetts more affordable and accessible for families. In order to continue to work. We're trying to help people get trained, and we need these jobs to feel sustainable. And we know that our workforce, you, need and deserve to feel supported. So please know that we in Massachusetts, in the state, and the Senate will continue to value and support you. Once again, thank you to all of the workers who make our Commonwealth great. Now, I have a great honor and a great surprise to share with all of you. I'd like to present, and all of you know him, the Caring Forces President and CEO, and my dear friend, Michael Weeks, with an award. For 25 years, Michael has been an incredibly extraordinary leader who has been amplifying the voices of human service providers and people with all varying abilities in Massachusetts and nationally, by the way, successfully too. In fact, the mechanism through which we allocate additional funds and raise your rates for human service providers was first made possible, I remember these discussions, by a law that Michael Weeks advocated and fought for back in 2008. Quite a number of years ago. He's been at this a long time. because of what you have fought for and what you have accomplished. I thought it really appropriate to share with you a gift that you have shared with so many. I am lucky to have one as well. And now we will have twins. So I'd like to present to you everyone here and people going back years and decades, we'd all like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service to all of the people of
Thank you. This is a surprise. Of course, I don't like surprises. As my staff know, we'll figure that out later.
surprises are fun.
They are fun. They are fun. And this is my very first beer, so. This is really helping me out here. Thank you, everyone. It means a lot. I know it's a bear, but it's more that's behind the bear. And I remember when we started the caring force after being inspired by Jerry Wright. How you doing, Jerry? But does anybody know what happens if you cross Mama Bear? There's a side of that bear you don't want to be around. And I told folks that's something we have to do here as advocates. We have to be strong and supporting. And I want to thank all of you for that. And thank you. Right now, right? Yep. I feel like after all those things she's read off, we should just give her a whole bunch of bears to keep it going. But thank you for that. But we also want to move to a segment that you're familiar with a few years ago. We're going to be rewarding some bears right now. And one of them is a college course. Speak to the mic, okay? Tell I'm all off now. I like to have it all scripted. I know what I'm doing, what's going on. They can do it obviously. So, I don't know if I can sing tonight. But here we are, and each year, as you know, we award a senator and a representative for their work and their support of human services. And it gives me a pleasure to tell you who our first Hearing Board Award is going to be awarded to, and is a colleague of Senator. And it's Senator Comerford. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Senator. After earning a Master's of Social Work degree from New York City's Hunter College School of Social Work, Senator Comerford moved to Western Mass to continue work on prison reform, housing, and shelter policy, while always keeping a steady focus on increasing equity and opportunity for people in Western Massachusetts. Senator Comerford contributed to the work of the Center for Human Development, the American Friends Service Committee, Food Bank of Western Mass, National Priorities Project, and Move On. As a state senator, Comerford has many accomplishments, including the passage of legislation to create a foster parent bill of rights, representing the Senate on the statewide multi-agency food security task force, and co-sponsoring our student loan repayment and livable wage bill to support the human services sector. I'd like to invite Lydia Todd and Senator Spilker, and we ask Senator Comerford to please join us as we present his very
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Madam President. And it's no surprise that both of you, congratulations, Michael, have been recipients of this gorgeous fair. So it's really a tremendous honor to be before you. I agree with Senate President Spilka. This is a beautiful sea of yellow. And you are a force, your caring force is felt throughout the building. And I will say that since taking office in 2019, many of you are my constituents, and the people you serve are my constituents, and you have made me smarter. You have made me smarter about the cost of living. You have made me smarter about the kind of work you do, the critical, essential, life-giving work you do every day for the people we all serve, and you have made me so proud to fight in your name. And the programs noted by the Senate President are a result, as she will say, and she did say, of your advocacy, of your telling us that you need wage parity, of your telling us that you need student loan burden debt relief. And so it is just an honor. I will treasure this fair and all that it means, and it'll just be with me as together we go forward for the kind of just work and just work environment that you deserve, and you're calling us to today, and you'll keep calling us, I know it. I'm really proud to serve in the Senate, where we're going to deliver in our budget, thanks to the Senate President.
Thank you, Senator Comerford. I'll see you out in the West. Yeah, absolutely. Be there. Some of you know I live out west, so it's small. We have fun. But our next award, the Caring Board Award, is awarded to Representative Jack Lewis. Now, in disability rights circles, you often hear the phrase, "nothing for us without us." And those words drive Jack's work. He believes that the people most impacted by the decisions need to be at the center and always work to elevate the voices of those too often marginalized. He was serving as a church minister when local families reached out to him about the need for a group to support LGBTQ plus youth, having himself experienced adolescence as an LGBT person. Jack knew the impact such a group could have. While continuing his ministerial duties, he worked alongside community members to build a youth group, successfully growing into Outreach Metro West, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that has served thousands of Metro West Boston residents. Representative Lewis is a tireless advocate for families and individuals in need and the providers who support them. He has such deep compassion for people who are oftentimes overlooked and marginalized, and can be counted on to show up and help in many ways that are public and behind the scenes. From advocating for policies to support fair wages, healthcare, workforce development, and education, to sending late-night emails about grant opportunities and handwritten notes and newspaper clippings to acknowledge successes. Jack is a true public servant and champion for the human services sector. Representative Lewis was elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives in 2017 and proudly presents the 7th Middlesex District, which includes neighborhoods in Framingham and Ashland. I'd like Lydia Todd, my co-host, to join me as we present this award to Representative Jack Lewis. Congratulations.
This is even more adorable and more squishy up here in person than I imagined. I have a couple plush dinosaurs in my office that have new friend now, so you'll be making this home there quickly. And I don't know who did the research, but there's a Star Trek thing as well. Someone knows me very, very well. It is, as the Senate President said, and as Senator Kennedy said, it is beautiful looking out and seeing this sea of yellow. You all do so much for so many people in our communities. You advocate for those you take care of every single day. And so, in some ways, it's great to welcome you back to the State House to advocate on this day. But today is a day where you're also having to advocate for yourself. And I'm caught this morning in that disconnect of people that do such important work for others needing to come here to remind us about the important work you do and what we can do in very concrete ways to support you. I'm excited to see the folks from Advocates out framing here. Dan Gold, you're back there. Gold. The Senate President and I are so lucky to have such great social service agencies, great folks like yourself out in the Metro West area. You do such important work. When we try to help our constituents and when we hit a dead end, we call on you, and you know exactly what to do because you all are in these trenches day in and day out. Today, I'm so excited to hopefully not be keeping you from going out and talking to our colleagues. I just want to say, if it's your first time here, really stop by the office of your rep and senator. If the rep and senator themselves are not there, just know that we're often pulled in so many different directions, a lot of the times back in our districts. And so if you have an opportunity to talk to a staffer, please take that opportunity. Talk about these very specific bills. Your ask today is very concrete, which is great. But also take that moment to share your own story. I know you all are great, as appropriate, about sharing the stories of those you care for, but also tell the stories like we heard this morning. Make these bills and these line items come to life because they are your lives. Again, thank you so much for this adorable stuffing, and thank you for all.
Wow, this morning is just amazing so far. Thank you to all of the speakers, Senate President Spilka, our Care Bear recipients, and the Providers Council, especially Michael Weeks. I can feel the energy as we all prepare to visit our legislators. I look forward to seeing you in the hallways of the State House soon, but first, here is Michael to share some helpful orientation instructions.
Okay, great. All right, that was wonderful. That was wonderful and moving. I got to tell you, I think the stories from folks mean so much, and I think Representative is absolutely right. Carrying and telling your story, because we all have stories to share. So, and you know how big of an impact things make. And when you talk about human services and support, sometimes people just want to know numbers and bills. But if they put a story behind that and know who's effectively can make a big difference. So feel free to talk about real life stories. So whether you provide services, receive services, or just hear about your services, you have an opportunity to make a real difference today. And so do what you can to make that happen. And for those of you who may not know who your representative is, if that's not the case, if you have a phone, you can check here, wheredoivoteMA.com. WheredoivoteMA.com. Or you can ask the staff member over there who's wearing red to help you identify your legislator as well. Make sure they understand what's when you talk to the folks. Make sure they understand what's at stake. Let them know how school debt affects your life and the lives of your colleagues and co-workers, because if they can't come to work, that means somebody's got to pick up the slack, right? And let them know what it means to be fair. And, you know, it might be nice to have your own apartment at some point and be able to do those things. And it'll be your choice to have, not because you have to do it that way. So you've heard 4 personal stories today. Now it's your opportunity So I want to thank everybody for coming here.